afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Lunchtime Topics. If you have never been to a Lunchtime Topic before or listened into one, basically it's a program of the Creative Coast, which exists to catalyze the innovation economy. And we do that through education, promotion, and opportunity. And Lunchtime Topics more specifically features a business expert in an area of something like marketing, startup funding, how to grow your team, how to scale your business. And today we are so excited to have Melissa Litchfield. She is the creative director and the founder of Litchfield Media Company. And she is going to be talking to us about it's a buzzword right now. It's on everybody's, in the marketing field, it's on everybody's minds. It's Clubhouse. It's the audio only invite social media app where you can tune into conversations and discussions, kind of like a panel discussion. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Melissa, and let you explain a lot more about it and how people can use and apply Clubhouse to their business.
So today we're going to chat all about Clubhouse. I call this my Clubhouse Connection workshop. So it'll be 30 minutes of me teaching and talking, but feel free to interrupt me if you have specific questions. And then obviously we'll have some time for Q&A afterwards as well. So I'm super excited to chat today. I'm actually, I do live in Savannah, but I am a San Diego native. My husband's currently serving in the US Coast Guard. So I am a military wife. I have moved around quite a bit, but I've been living in the South for about 8 years. So actually haven't lived in California in 11 years. So it's been a while, but I tend to go back frequently to visit family. I'm also a mother. So I have a daughter, Madeline. She just turned 4. I love me some wine. So I love to wind down in the evenings, have a glass of wine, love to cook, love to travel, obviously when it's not during a pandemic. And I'm sure everyone else is ready to travel and get going here. Let's get back to normal. But a little bit more about me professionally. So why you can trust me. I actually own an advertising agency. So we focus on Facebook and Instagram. I guess you could call it paid social ads, but a lot of our clients are online female entrepreneurs. So they have some sort of digital course, digital product, or they have some sort of coaching business, right? So they offer online coaching services and they work with clients one-on-one or in a group setting. I personally have seen tremendous results on Clubhouse myself. I've been on since December 22nd of 2020. And during that first stint or the first couple of weeks, I was just trying to learn and navigate the platform and see how I could potentially use this for business, right? Because like you and I, we're both thinking oh my God, another platform, right? Why do I have to be on this? How can it benefit me? But in those first 3 weeks, my clients kind of caught wind because I was sharing a lot of stuff on Instagram stories and they're like, wait, how are you, utilizing this platform? How are you using it to land clients, all that kind of stuff. So I started to co-host rooms with them. And then I basically created the strategy around the platform because I'm all about let's get them into some sort of funnel where we can nurture them, where we can actually utilize this platform for business, right? Because we don't want to waste our time on social media and have it not pay off in the end. I am dedicated to everyone's success on the app. I think this is a massive opportunity to use, especially in the early phase of business, right? It's still in beta, just like in early days of Facebook, where you needed not an invite, but you needed an edu email address. If everyone remembers that, I remember that. So back in 2008, you had to have a certain specific email address to even get onto Facebook. And then also with Pinterest, I think when they first started, it was invite only. So all of these apps kind of work the same way, right? They work out the kinks, all of the little tech glitches. They need to work all that out before they open it up to the public. So we're in a unique opportunity right now where not everyone is available to get an invite, right? You need an iPhone, essentially iOS, and you need an invite to actually get on the app. So it just makes it more exclusive, I think. And I think it's a great marketing tactic from these creators of the actual app. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the actual app and do an overview, what exactly it is, some of the terms that you'll hear. And then this is the actual app. The icon has changed since then, but they like to feature, fun fact, they like to feature actual community members from the app as their little icon. So this was the very first community member they featured. But just note that like if you do have Android, you might have to wait until they release it. But for now, iOS only. Okay, so some terms we'll talk about today. So the hallway, which is essentially your main feed, right? Or the feed of the actual app. You'll be able to see upcoming events, preview them on the hallway. There's going to be a search bar, some invites. We'll go over the calendar, how and where to find notifications, how to find your profile, set it all up, best practices for like setting up your bio, right? Starting a room, joining some clubs, and then seeing like who's available to host or chat a room with you, and then who's online, and then setting up your settings. Because I think as with all social media, it's important to set some boundaries, like, you know, up ahead of time, because it is addicting. I will say that. So make sure you set up some of those settings, and we'll talk about that today too. Okay, so this is a little preview of what the hallway, the main feed, would look like for you. Any upcoming events would show at the very top here in this darker beige color box. These are all the upcoming events and different like club events that are going on. So if you are a part of certain clubs, you'll see that at the very top. And then these are also based on interest that you select when you do set up the app in the very beginning. And then if you wanted to start a room on the fly, you can do that with that green button there, start a room. Okay, now we're going to talk about the very top. We have the search icon right here. So the top left of your hallway, that's where you'll be able to search for specific people on the app and specific clubs. And you'll be able to set up your interests as well. So basically select certain topics and interests that you want to see on your feed. This will help obviously tell the app like what sort of rooms you're interested in. It's pretty much like you're telling the algorithm what type of rooms you want to see. Then we have the little invite icon here. It looks like an email icon, but basically once you get on the app from someone sending you an invite, you get one invite yourself. And then as you use the app more frequently, listening on rooms, hosting rooms, co-moderating, you will get more invites as you use the app and, you know, just utilize it. Even if you're listening in on rooms, you can still get invites. The next icon you'll see is the calendar. So that's where you can find events coming up for you and your own events that you're hosting yourself. Notifications, so that's just like if someone's following you, if someone invites you to a club and nominates you as a member, you'll get notified there. And also you get notifications of anybody that you're following, any rooms that they start, you know, or they schedule. And then your profile will be here. Obviously, when you first start your account, there's no picture associated to it yet. So make sure you put in a picture in there ASAP. And then we'll talk about your bio as well, best practices for that. Okay, so let's see, from the actual profile or the feed, you can swipe from right to left, or there's a little, I wonder if I could show you if I have it. There's this little icon right here on the main feed. If you click that, you'll be able to see like who's available online to host a room with you, or you can preview what specific rooms they're listening into at this very moment. So you can kind of get like a glance of like, okay, who's online right now? What club members are online, right? So this is like the club section up here. And then anybody down here, you can chat with them. You can start a private room, a locked room, or you can tap into any rooms that they're listening to at this very moment. So these are pretty much like, it's like a little peek to see like who's active and currently on the app. Okay, now we're going to basically talk about like the calendar. So this is kind of what you'll see once you do start scheduling rooms with other people, co-moderators. So there'll be a section where you can add a title. Titles are very important, right? Because it's almost like you're positioning yourself and the actual room topic. And the better the title, the more likely someone is going to probably want to join, right? So I like to think titles as email subject headlines, and we'll talk about that in a second. But in this section, that's where you can see upcoming events. You go to upcoming events, and then there's a little drop down section. You click my events. Here's where you can also schedule rooms and edit rooms. So if you need to add a moderator, you can do that as well. You can edit the event, and basically it will look like this. So get like a little preview, and there's 4 icons at the very bottom. You can tap to share this specific room. You can tweet it, so you can like share it to Twitter, or you can copy the URL or like the actual link and you share it on Instagram, Facebook, and you can also add it to your calendar. So I like to add all of my events to my Google Calendar so I stay organized. And then what my assistant does is that she'll pull the actual link, because it will populate a link once you add it to your Google Calendar. And then I add it to like a landing page on my website. And then I just house everything in a button. So like anyone that's following me, they can see like what upcoming rooms that I have scheduled for the week. And then my assistant just updates that for me. So that's a little tip on how to stay organized, because currently at this moment, there is no like effective way to kind of see all of the events that someone's hosting for the week. So hopefully that will change in the future. But highly recommend, like sharing the event link, and we'll talk about best practices for like hosting and co-moderating it as well. Okay, so now that we've talked about the buttons and where to go and where to find things, let's take a peek into what an actual room looks like. So I like to think of these rooms as almost like a breakout session during a virtual conference. So it's like very specific, very niche, like the topic is very like niche down. And you'll basically be able to see that by the actual title of the room. So this is the moderator view. So if you're on stage, that's kind of like in the Clubhouse lingo. If you're on stage moderating or speaking from the audience, basically you'll show up here at the top portion of the room. You as a moderator have the ability to make other people moderators. You can simply tap on their picture and change their status to a moderator. You can mute others on stage, and then you can invite people to the stage and approve speakers. You can also mute yourself and ping others in or leave quietly. We'll talk about pinging in a second, but it's this little icon right here. Basically just sends a notification to anybody that's currently online, letting them know that you want them to join you in this specific room. You can raise your hand if you are in the audience. There's a little icon to like raise your hand, and then they'll bring you up on stage. Kind of depends on like how the moderators are currently running the room. But most of the time, from what I've seen, is if you have a question, it's pretty much open forum, right? Like a Q&A type of style. Unless you're in a huge giant room with like 1,000 people, that honestly isn't sometimes ideal, because I feel like it's very unlikely that they'll call you up on stage, especially if they have a ton of moderators on stage as well. So that's kind of like what the room looks like as a moderator. And then we'll dive into speaker. Okay, so if you are an audience member, you can be a speaker on stage and join the conversation. So as a speaker, you have the ability to mute yourself, ping others in, and raise your hand to speak. You can also leave quietly with this little peace sign here. So if you are just popping in and out of rooms as an audience member, there's no way they can hear you. They can't really see you. It's just your profile picture. So I personally love Clubhouse for this aspect, because you just show up and you speak your piece, right? Like you speak what you know and you talk about what you know, and you can easily become seen as an expert and an authority in your industry. You don't have to come like makeup camera ready. So I love that about Clubhouse. I believe this has changed, but previously when you were brought to stage, you were automatically unmuted. So just check your mic, make sure it has this red line through, and that basically means that you're muted. But today when I joined a room as a speaker, I was already on mute. So that's kind of nice. It's a feature that we've been wanting for a while. Okay, let's talk about clubs. What is a club? What makes it different from actually hosting a room on the actual app? So clubs, I like to think of these as a Facebook group. So it's a private community where you can reach a specific niche and new people. You can also now create a club within the app. They used to make you fill out this form, wait for an approval. Now it's really easy. You do it on your profile. What you have to do is you have to scroll all the way down. And then if you are a part of clubs, you might have to scroll to the right, but there's a little plus icon. Click that, and then you'll be able to fill out, all the details around your club. the name, the description. So pretty much this is the name of my club, the Female Marketers, a little description on what type of content that they are going to expect to see will be shown here. I also have an Instagram account for the Female Marketers Club. So I kind of have that in that section as well. And since this screenshot, we actually have grown. So crazy growth is seen within the clubs, but now we've grown to 4.8 thousand members. And I've created a website as well for the Female Marketers Club. So lots of things happening, but essentially these are what clubs look like. And when you get invited or nominated for a club, you'll get this notification here. You can also, once you're like added as a member, you can nominate other members, people who are on the app, people who aren't on the app. It's kind of like a secret way of getting in. And then if someone does invite you to a club, you'll kind of get this notification here under your notifications. Okay, but clubs essentially are basically, I like to think of like a separate community outside of just like scheduling a room that's public, that's open to anybody on the app. These basically would be rooms that are shown to members of the club and or followers. So it kind of depends if your room is unlocked, locked. Based on those indicators, it will show for members and or followers. Okay, club admin view. So as a club admin, you can edit your club, you can edit the description, the topics, set the rules of your club. And then you can also invite members and view nominated members as well. So these are kind of just like screenshots that I pulled from my own phone of what it kind of looks like, where, you know, it gives you the actual like preview of like, okay, you can edit the club topics here, edit the club rules. You can allow members to start rooms or not allow them. It's kind of up to you as a creator of the club. You can hide the member list, all those, there's so many things you can edit about the club, but I think best practices for clubs. I think it's more inviting to allow members to host their own rooms. Otherwise, you just have a bunch of people following your club, and then there's, you know, just you and a few others that are members. But I think it creates more of a community when you actually allow people to join in on the conversation and host rooms themselves. Okay, so let's briefly talk about Clubhouse invites. So as a newbie on the app, you immediately get one invite when you get on the app. And then as you use the app more, you'll receive more invites, usually 3 at a time, sometimes more. I've seen just like my invite, like just they kind of increase, you know, every now and then. But pro tip, program the person's number ahead of time if you want to send an invite on your iPhone if you don't have their number already, so that way you can easily search for their name and invite them, because this all happens through phone number, right? So if you're inviting somebody that's in another country, make sure you have the country code correct. And then I like to send a text message just to like verify that I have the right number, because unfortunately, if you have the wrong phone number and you're trying to invite somebody, that invite dies with that person, meaning you cannot like, you know, take the invite back essentially and redo it. So just make sure you have the correct phone number. That way you don't waste an invite on somebody's like incorrect phone number. All right, so now we're going to talk about Clubhouse settings. So if you go to your profile, top right, there's a little gear icon. That's where you can get to your settings. This is where you can set some boundaries by pausing notifications and limiting what rooms actually show up on your hallway feed. You can edit your interests here as well. And you can also see what's new with the app. So any updates that they, you know, typically it's like once a month, they will basically, it'll be a little notification, a banner on top of your screen when you open the app. And it'll say like, you're using the latest new edition of the Clubhouse app. See the updates here, and you can tap the updates and you can read about them. Or you can go to the what's new section and you can read about the updates there. This is where you can read up on their community guidelines, their terms of service, and their privacy policy, right? So everything's it's out in the open. If you're concerned about that type of stuff, make sure you read that here so you know what type of data is being shared, you know, when you are using the app. And then I like to edit these notification settings here, so that way you're not getting as many notifications. So change the frequency, so that way you're not bombarded by all of these notifications on the app. You can toggle this off right here, so that way you're not seeing like trending rooms. may or may not be interested in. And then you can also pause notifications for like an hour, a day, totally up to you. So definitely set some boundaries because you don't want it to take up too much of your time. All right, now we're going to talk about some lingo. So the rooms, we kind of touched on that already. It's basically a closed, unlocked or locked room, basically a space where you can chat and it's all audio. And again, I like to think of it as a virtual like conference mini breakout session. And it's just a great way to like connect with others on a different level, right? Outside of our Instagram bubble where we're seeing the same people and we're interacting with the same people. Clubhouse is this awesome opportunity to connect with other business owners, possible, potential clients. So mods or moderators are basically the people that are hosting the specific room. They'll have a little green icon next to their name. The stage is where everyone has the opportunities to speak. So whether you're a moderator or an audience member that wants to speak, basically that's where you go to speak, is on stage. Ping was that little icon, the little plus icon at the bottom right of your screen. When you're in an actual room, you can ping others, basically notify them. This is a great way to notify people when you're like actually starting your room. It's kind of just that extra reminder like, hey, I'm hosting this room right now. You should join. And then you might also hear this term called pull to refresh or PTR. So as the room is going, we're chatting, we're having a conversation, audience members are coming in and out, or audience members are coming to stage and going off a stage. It's always good to like refresh the room. So you just swipe down to kind of like refresh the whole screen, and it will show you currently like who's actually speaking, because people can leave in and out of the room at any given time. So it's always like good to refresh the room. You might also hear the term reset the room. So that basically just means every 20 minutes or so, the moderators are resetting the room and basically just bringing, reminding everybody what topic you're talking about, because people are coming in and out of the room frequently. So you might hear like, oh, let's reset the room. We're chatting about this topic today. So excited to chat more. We were just briefly talking about X, Y, and Z. Now we're moving on to this. That was just a little example of how to reset the room. And then we have clubs and club hosts. So when you are scheduling a room, you can select a club host if you are a club member. So if that club allows their members to host rooms, that will show up in that specific section when you're creating your very first room. And then we have party hats, which is a little emoji that you may see next to your profile picture when you're actually in rooms. It just means that you're new to the app and it goes away after 7 days. So most people are super friendly, right? They recognize that there's new people in the room. They're like, welcome to Clubhouse. We see that we see that we have some new people to Clubhouse. We just want to welcome you. So everyone is super, they're open to like newbies coming to the stage. I am too. So everyone will give you some grace. If you don't know what you're doing, don't worry. Okay, so now that we've gone over like the lingo, everyone knows where to go, what buttons to press on the app. Let's talk about the bio, right? So I call this the bio trifecta. This is the Clubhouse foundation. Very first thing you should do after you add your profile and select your interests. Now we're going to set up the bio. So the first 3 lines are key, they're imperative. So make sure you have in your bio the first 3 lines, who you are, what you do, and what makes you different. In actual rooms, whether you're speaking or you're in the audience just listening in, you can tap on anyone's profile picture and you can see a brief section of their bio. Literally the first 3 lines is what you can see when you're in rooms, speaking or just in the audience. So it's a great thing to optimize because it's the first thing that people see, right? When they're interested in learning more about you. And then in your actual bio, you can utilize keywords. These are searchable. So meaning when you go to that magnifying glass icon on your hallway feed, if you have certain terms like marketing funnels or graphic design, these are certain terms that people can search for on the actual app. So make sure you're utilizing that within your actual bio, your bio body. And then key part, last key part is to link your Twitter and or Instagram so people can connect with you. As of right now, even if you put links in your bio, it's all HTML. I believe it's unlimited. So like you could have a very long bio if you wanted to, but the only way for people to connect with you and you can talk privately is via Instagram or Twitter. So just make a note of that. Make sure you connect it. If you don't have Twitter, no biggie. You can just use one or the other or both. It's up to you. Okay, so here's kind of like what mine looks like. I've changed this a little bit over time, but basically the first 3 lines are who I help and how I help them, right? And then you could also have like what makes you unique, essentially. And then here are some key terms that people may search for. I have Facebook ad agency owner, sales funnels, digital marketing, real estate, whatever describes you and what you do and how you help your clients. And then I just have some like credibility here. So if you've been featured in any publications, you can include that in your bio. And then I have a little brief section on like, invite me to host a room with you on these topics. These are specific topics that I like to talk about. And then I have a little blurb about like the Female Marketers Club, any other like events or like, things happening, like you can always edit your bio. And then I have a little call to action here at the end. So DM me on Instagram to say hi. And then I have my location here, Savannah, Georgia. And then I also have my Litchfield Media, like Twitter and Instagram linked as well. And then you can see on everyone's profile, your bio, you can see when they joined and who nominated them. So I got the invite from the specific person. I actually didn't know her. So people are they're willing to give you invites. So don't be afraid to hesitate to reach out on social media. If you can't find an invite for whatever reason, that's essentially what I recommend people if I'm out of invites. And like, just ask on social, like somebody will probably have one and be willing to give you one. All right, so another Clubhouse foundation is building a strategic following, right? Okay, so don't follow to follow, or I think these rooms are banned now, so you can't join these rooms anymore, but be very strategic on who you follow. But if you follow just anyone and everyone, doing this will clog up your feed with rooms that aren't relevant to what you want to see or hear about, right? Follow who you'd like to connect with and possibly co-moderate with in the future. Be very strategic about this because it's a great way to leverage both of your audiences together when you do host rooms. Inside of my mini course, I have a mini course called Clubhouse for CEOs, but there's a Holy Grail 100 wish list. And basically I teach everyone to like make a wish list and pitch to those people in order to co-moderate. So this basically just means reaching out to people and asking to co-moderate with them. Okay, and now we're going to talk about clubs, which I've been focusing heavily on expanding, growing my club, the Female Marketers Club, in the last month. So I haven't been as active like hosting rooms, but I've been like building the foundation for the specific club because I see this taking off, right? So I've been building the foundation, aka website, email list, basically another way to connect off of the app with my club members. Okay, so I recommend to you guys, join as many relevant clubs as possible. This is just a great way to reach new people, right? If for whatever reason you're not seeing your membership approved, I mean, it is a very manual process, I will say this, but you can DM the club admin to approve your membership. If you're just following the club, it doesn't equal membership, right? So there's like a member section and then there's a followers. It is a very manual process, meaning I have to literally tap on everyone's name and add them as a member. So it's much easier to just add someone, but you have to be following each other. So just make sure you take note of that. You can now start your own club within the app. Like I said before, it used to be on clubhouseguide.com, but you can still go to this website, learn all about the new updates. They have a lot of great resources on this website, but you can also, like I was saying, create your own club within the app now. So it's less of a headache, easier for you if you want to create your own club. Okay. Very important here, Clubhouse etiquette, right? Because there's some things that you do and you don't want to do as a speaker and as a moderator. So speaker etiquette, make sure you're muted, right? When you're brought onto stage, just double check that. Unmute when it's your turn. Always, always, always add value or ask a question. Don't just raise your hand to pitch your services. And then practice a clear and concise intro, 30 seconds or less, because sometimes there's a lot of people on stage. In order to get to everybody, like people need to ask their question quick. So typically you might hear people say, come to the stage and just say, my question is, and then get to your question, right? But if they're, just allowing people to do a brief intro, make sure it's like really quick and concise. Now for moderators, if you're moderating a room, open the room for questions, right? It's more interactive this way. And basically what this means is like you're having an open forum conversation with people who are listening to your room, people in the audience, and then bringing people up onto stage when they do raise your hand. So if you do see that notification, just make sure you're, allowing everybody to speak their piece, ask their question. Hopefully they have something of value if they're not asking a question, and then mute them if needed, right? So if they are trying to spam your room, you can always mute them and you can report them on the app. It's like the 3 little dots to the top right of the room. Clubhouse is very big about like, they're against trolls. They don't want anyone trolling, and they're trying to make it as easy as possible to notify, the app if someone's trolling in a room. Reset the room every 20 to 30 minutes. Again, this kind of just like reminds people what topic you're specifically talking about for that room. And then you can turn off hand raising if needed. Like basically, I recommend doing this if you're running out of time or if hand raising gets out of hand. If you have a really large room, this is just your way of kind of like moderating the hand raising process. But just be transparent and people will understand, right? And that basically just means you talking and telling people that, hey, we actually have to turn off hand raising because we have to close out this room in 5 minutes, right? So I am very protective of my time. I own a business, so I'm always very upfront with people. It's like, hey, I have a hard stop in an hour. Like if for whatever reason I didn't get to your question, just DM me and we can talk offline, in the Instagram DMs. I try to get to everybody as quickly as possible though. Okay, so I will try to wrap this up because I think we're already at 30 minutes, but moderating like a boss. I have a 4-step process. How to moderate like a boss. So collaborating and considering a clubhouse, and collaborating with, basically what I mean by that is just co-moderating or co-hosting with somebody else. Collaborate with somebody that has like a following that would complement your business, not necessarily competition. Although I've hosted with another Facebook ads person and it was an awesome room. So I think there's room and there's opportunity for everybody, even if you're co-hosting with like a direct competitor. Schedule your event in advance. Even if it's like 5 minutes before, it will send notifications to everyone that's following you. Have a captivating room title, right? I like to utilize how to blank to avoid blank, right? So how to enter their desire, right? What do they desire, your ideal client, in order to avoid some sort of pain point. So you can insert a pain point at the end. And then always provide a call to action, right? So when you're closing up your room, make sure you tell them exactly what you want them to do next. Do you want them to DM you? Do you want them to send you an email? Like whatever call to action you want to utilize as that next step for them to take off of the app. Okay, so I kind of like wrote everything out here, but basically, again, scheduling everything in advance. This is my little, what do I call it? Linktree page essentially, but it's on Squarespace. So if you go to litchfieldmedia.org/clubhouse, basically it's just an updated weekly Clubhouse room list of every room that I'm hosting. It's just a like way to stay organized basically. And then leveraging room titles as a means to get people to tap in, co-hosting, and then utilizing call to actions at the end of your rooms. Turn off hand raising if the room gets out of control. Keep speakers on topic. You could say, what's your question or value add? Mute people if you need to. Sometimes you do. Sometimes people can't find the mute button and they're brand new. Totally get it. You can just tap on their profile and there's a little microphone icon next to their image. You can also move speakers back to the audience. So like if you just kind of need to like refresh the stage, or there's too many people on stage, you need to send people that aren't speaking back to the audience, you can totally do that. You can also report speakers, like I was telling you, who spam your room. Always give value. Always, always. Okay, let's talk about maximizing visibility. And I think this is the last section. Could be wrong. Okay, so exposure and visibility. Using a club to host your room. So we talked about that. Make sure you do that. Collaborating with other moderators in your space, in your industry. And then let's see, sharing your events on other platforms. So meaning copying that link from the actual calendar icon, you know, when you click on your actual scheduled rooms that you have, and just sharing it everywhere, right? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, copy the link. And then if someone has an invite, it will directly take them to the app and take them to that room. Let's see, what else did I talked about? Sharing the room links, using a host club, use a co-host to leverage each other's audience. The more mutual follows, the better, right? So you're just leveraging each other's audience, and then pinging others online into your room. So when you start your room, it's good practice and good protocol to just, you know, start pinging people in. That first like minute, just be like, hey, I am, you know, just pinging people into the room. We're going to get started in just a second. Okay, conversion techniques. I'm trying to like speed this so we have some time for Q&A. So I have some scripts here. You can feel free to screenshot, but basically I have like a script for you guys to use for if you want people to DM you. And then if you're co-moderating with somebody, I like to say, utilize each other as like your wingman, right? So like hype each other up. Definitely remind people to follow, you know, all the moderators or follow you, especially if you feel like, or especially if they feel like you've given value, right? So I have some scripts there for you guys. And then I have some predictions, and I believe this is the last section, I promise. So I have some predictions about like what is to come, right? What's on the horizon. So obviously we know that they haven't opened up to the public, basically meaning the app is only available to iOS users right now. It's supposed to go public this month, but who knows, right? I think it's all just like hearsay. We don't really actually know, but rumor was March for Android. We will see. But do know that it's going to I think it's just going to open the floodgates to this app, right? So getting on as an early adopter is going to be massive opportunity for you. Influencers are already getting paid right now to speak on certain topics on Clubhouse because brands have seen that they do have a following and they do have an influence, right? So you could be seen as someone too. So there is a pitch template inside of my mini course that I give basically to pitch to brands. And then I also say include your media kit. And then the app will have to monetize sooner or later. We don't exactly know what that's going to look like at this moment, but I could potentially see some opportunity for you to kind of like boost your room like you can do on Facebook and Instagram. So instead of like boosting a post, I can potentially see like you could put some money behind like boosting your room essentially. So that way you get more eyeballs on your scheduled rooms. So almost like a sponsored room. So those are my predictions, and then Q&A. And then if you need an invite, just let me know.
So I have a question. Thank you. Sorry, my dog's gonna bark when I go off mute. So question is, if you can hear me, how is engagement with Clubhouse as compared to Zoom? Because I know there's been a lot of Zoom fatigue and people are kind of tired of it. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing that like a lot of maybe an audience you used to Zoom with, or I don't know if you were using Zoom before, or everyone's kind of moved over to Clubhouse entirely?
I think it's just a different way of connecting with, you know, people, especially on social media. Like Zoom, I see it as separate. I see like Zoom as more like work, like, oh, I have to get on Zoom, or it's like associated for me, at least with clients and client calls. But it's a way it's like a opportunity to network, right? So people that you don't know about or you want to get to know, it's like the perfect opportunity to just like build your authority on the platform. Whereas Zoom, I feel like, yes, like Zoom fatigue is real, but it's just so refreshing to like not be on Zoom and not be visible on video. and just speaking, what you know, and talking to like the, whatever you're an expert in.
Cool.
Any other questions?
I do. Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
I'm Jamie, and I found this like super valuable. Honestly, you answered like all of the questions that I had. I'm all about not wasting time on social media. So kind of like diving into Clubhouse and like leveraging it and like having it be as a place to network. Cause I feel like, especially this past year, it's been really difficult for like business owners to network with one another, and I feel like this app is like a really good like opportunity to like network with other like-minded people. Love the concept of like not being on video, because like you mentioned, Kate, like with Zoom, like I feel like there definitely is like Zoom fatigue, and like being able to just like speak value and like not having to have like this like facade, like it's really cool. I guess, I mean, honestly, I had a list of questions in your presentation, answered them all. So I'm really grateful for that. I guess I just got on the app, or I just got an invite this week, which is really exciting. So I'm kind of like a fly on the wall, like feeling around within my niche. I'm a dietitian and like the anti-diet, like weight inclusive space. And like, there's not like many other people in like my field like yet on Clubhouse from what I see. So what would you kind of like recommend in terms of like, how do I share my invites, like how to leverage my invites to kind of get more of like my people on and like create more of like my niche?
Yeah, I've seen in the beginning, people were like giving them away, like running some sort of contest on Instagram. So that's really great if you have like a huge community or like a following, loyal fan base on Instagram. I have seen, I'm in like the coaching space a lot. So like there are like nutrition coaches and like fitness coaches and stuff. So like people are on there, and if for whatever reason you don't see a specific club that is in relation to your niche, like I say 100% create a club. Because I think I created my club in January, and it has just grown organically. And I mean, within the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been just behind the scenes, like putting my head down, like let's figure out a strategy to actually monetize this later down the road, because it is a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Like coordinating with and Melinda knows, she's on this call, she's my assistant, and she takes all the requests for like room requests, although it's all on the app. And my personal club is, it's open to anybody that wants to host a room under the FMC. But if you want that extra like exposure on our social media, on our website, there's an actual calendar that Melinda will update with all the reoccurring rooms and our one-time rooms happening inside of the Female Marketers Club. But that's kind of like the incentive for them to kind of like, let's connect outside of the Clubhouse app so we can actually promote you, sort of thing. So, I mean, there's massive opportunity, right, to just leverage this app right now and grow your following. And I think your club will probably grow organically. So.
Awesome. Thank you. And Melinda, thank you for sharing that in the chat. While you were talking, I was on the app kind of going through it and joined the Female Marketing Club. So I'll be buzzing around and learning from you guys. It's awesome what you guys are doing. Thanks.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it looks like Melinda says they're the dietitian and health coach speaking tonight.
Oh, very cool.
So
I'll tune in. Thanks.
Wednesday wellness. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many, even though we're a marketing type, club, there's people that talk about all things business. It's not always about social media. I'm not really enforcing that unless it gets out of hand. So we'll see.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was my kind of next question. I feel like you really did cover it, but I feel like with, for example, Facebook groups, they can get out of hand easily if you're not moderating them. And I like that, my child is coming into the shop. I like that, that it's heavy on moderation, or it sounds like you have a good sense of control with this, because as someone who's moderated a number of Facebook groups, it can quickly get like very spammy, promo-y. And I guess these people are speaking, there's kind of like the pressure to put your best foot forward and not just talk about like, here's what I can do for you. It's more like about building intentional relationships, or at least that's what I'm getting from it. It kind of gets the ball rolling like you would in a normal networking situation where like, here's what I do, here's what you do, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself. And then you go from there, right?
Yeah. And I do actually plan on soon hosting like weekly reoccurring rooms myself as a creator of the club, just to like basically host a town hall like the actual app founders do, and they kind of give updates and stuff. So like I plan on doing the same, but very specific to the Female Marketers Club, to make sure that one, everyone's following the rules, because that's one of my club rules: do not spam, or I encourage people to report them, right? They will be removed from the club, sort of thing. So I think it's all about like having a pulse on like what's happening inside of your club. Obviously, I can't be on the app all the time and pop into everyone's room that they're creating, but you know, I have faith in the members, like they will report them, because obviously it's like when you join, you have to say, yes, I agree to all the rules. So if and then the rules are broken, we might have to change up, like, you know, do we allow members to continue to host their own rooms? Do we take that away for a certain time being? So as of right now, it's open, but that could potentially change in the future. And maybe it's just open to like our VIP members to host rooms. So there's all sorts of like things happening in my mind, but that's kind of like what I foresee in the future is like, okay, I might have to step in if needed, to just get like a better handle if things get out of control. But I mean, as of right now, I haven't heard of anything, and we're about 5K members. So
That's awesome. Sounds like you grew really quickly too. I know you have a huge following on like Facebook and Instagram, but how much time would you say? I know you said you have to limit your time. And I've heard people say, like my boss, Jen, she's the one who invited me. She was like, my biggest issue is like, I can't get off of it in the evenings, like go to bed. Cause all of the people she follows are like on the West Coast. And she's like, they're talking about such great stuff. So I guess a question would be like, how much time do you invest? I might've missed that, but on the daily in this right now.
yeah, very minimal right now, only because I've been so busy with like work and then getting like the actual club up and running, like the infrastructure to like host what's going on and the happenings of the club outside of the app or off of the app. But in the beginning, yeah, I was like trying to just get immersed. And I want to say the very first month, like I think I probably overdid it. And then February was like trying to scale back, because I was like, I cannot be on, you know, as an actual agency owner, I cannot be on the app every single day. I think it was hosting like multiple rooms a day. And I was like, I can't do that anymore. So now I just host a couple rooms a week, you know, if that. And it's, you know, I still am growing consistently. It's not like you need a ton of followers. I will say that, like, followers do not equal sales, right? So just take note of that. Even if you have a small following, it's all about like the rooms and like the value that you provide in the rooms. And then what you do after, right? Are you following up with these leads? Are you connecting with them on Instagram? Do you have some sort of like conversion technique, you know, to take the conversation off of the app? So that way you are utilizing your time well spent, you know, and you are converting these leads into actual like clients and sales.
Cool.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter like how much time you spend, but like the actual value that you provide inside of the rooms that you're hosting.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So value, it's all about value, or it's all about quality, not quantity, I guess is what I
Yeah. Any other extra followers I have is a bonus. And like, there's tons of people that have a lot more followers than I do, and they've joined like literally in January last month. That doesn't matter to me. It's like, I'm all about, you know, growing quality, like relationships and collaborations. This is not like a race. So
yeah.
but yeah, those people are definitely on 24/7, and I don't have the time for that.
That's refreshing to hear, because social media is so much about how many likes and how many followers. And yeah, that's interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah, so Melinda has been awesome. She put in the chat our website for the Female Marketers Club, so you can get on our email list if you want to host a room inside of the Female Marketers Club and basically be on the calendar and be on our social media feed. And then, you know, tag us on stories when you're hosting rooms inside. Like, we totally reshare everything. I'm Litchfield Media on Instagram. That's my handle. That's pretty much where I hang out. outside of Clubhouse. So you can totally find me there. My email's linked to Instagram.